had so much fun. Like I got to meet a lot of people that I've always wanted to meet, but then just like telling somebody, here, this is how you do all these things, and then they do it, and you're like, well,
yeah. My main thing is, you know, meeting all the faces behind the Facebook pages for all these years.
Oh yeah,
it's a long time coming, brother.
Crazy stuff?
Yeah, I've been.
Facebook, and there he is. He's standing right there.
I want your body to move and your arms to stay in a nice tight frame.
You have to reduce a little bit, yeah, because it's a little bit too thick.
Squeeze that trigger all the way.
Really enjoyed being associated with her company and her products, and I feel like it's bringing my work to another level. And I'm steadily convincing a lot of my associates who have body shops, custom paint shops, etc., to make the switch because of the quality of the products and the affordability, which is a key issue with body shops. This particular event that Tammy's put together, in my words, would be historic. She has brought people together from across the country that do the same thing, that have seen each other on social media but never met. And it's really great to meet these guys and share experiences with them. And it's also great to teach these people that know nothing or very little about the trade basic skills. We're teaching lettering, we're teaching pinstriping, we're teaching reliefing, and I'm amazed at how these people have progressed in these few days. I look forward to future Tamco takeovers and hope to be associated with them.
And that's usually about when everybody kind of starts standing it down, is when they get a little closer to themselves, they want to pick up on it.
How long have you been striping?
Probably 15 years.
Like I started right out of high school.
Not very mechanically inclined, but I could always doodle. But a lot of them, they'll get it going, but they'll sit there and they want to go real slow, so they're like, try not to go too fast, but and learning, if you got the thick part up here and you want to make that point, is learning how to bring it up. Then you get the connecting the two pieces like that, and you can. Like a lot of people, they think you got to hold it on the ferrule. I hold it up here so that I can turn it a lot easier. Most people's first mistakes is they want to, they're doing this and they want to go, and it's not going to work. Like your hand doesn't naturally turn like that, and it's going to end up, on the paper it's not doing it, but on metal or something you're going to flare it out. So that's why, you just tell people, that's the hardest part, is learning, is getting that twist. Say if you, I know it's a little further away, but you know, having that pinky, like if you mash down on it to where you know that guideline's there. Like I said, that way you got that line right there and you know where, you know, you're not kind of, your hand's not walking while you're doing it. And a lot of times it's easier for me to pull towards me than trying to like go sideways. So like if you're doing that side, use your pinky along that line. You know, whichever way you feel comfortable with it being. Yeah, I mean, if you're, you know, flip it around and. You know, whether you put it on the inside or outside, whichever feels comfortable to you. You know, if you feel like it's too cramped in to try to put it on the inside. Much better. One guy that taught me, he was out of California, his name was Bo Huff. I don't know if you remember who that is. The way he told me is like, you need to build your stripe design like a Christmas tree. It starts off skinny and then bring it down. He goes, or some people, they like it to where it's like this and just kind of, and then tapers back down. He goes, but you want to have somewhere where it's got a body to it, not just something that's straight down.
My name is Michael Hall. I'm here at the Tamco 2020 Takeover, instructing people on lettering and pinstriping. It's awesome to give them, to have some new people come along and learn this, this craft, because it's not going away. It'll be here forever.
A lot of people start with the basic teardrop. I start a lot of mine like this. But most pinstriping designs, especially like on a trunk or a hood, they need an anchor, and you can do this 2 or 3 times if you want to, you know, big one, a small one underneath of it. You can fill this thing in with another color. You can half fill it in with another color, don't go all the way up to the edge. You can make this front, this top, as complicated as you want. The teardrop thing works. This is a move that I've used for years. It's not worth the darn, but anyway. Yep. Another teardrop, and this one's easy, and this is a stroke you need to learn, because you can use this on other things. Another teardrop is lay it down and pick it up soon. And then you get down here to the bottom, you lay it down again and trail it off. You can, this is popular, I'm bringing you up, you know, lay it down. You don't want to carry that fat part out a long ways. You want to put it down and pick it right back up. And it'll, you know, you just carry the brush like that and go. And then the next one can go, actually can go. And they're just the ends of a scroll design. I may do like this.
No, I know how to steady my hand. You know, on a car, you can catch the side of something and steady your hand with that.
Yeah.
Just do a line. I'd put another finger. I'd put that finger down too. Try to hold it with, you're feeling your edge with your pinky. I hold it, different people hold it different too. Yeah. I'm on those two fingers basically. That's driving the whole thing. This one's just supporting. And like I say, sometimes on a long straight line, I might put all three down, but it's those two fingers right, they're doing the work. Have it up towards, you know, so you can twist it like that. And then support the rest however you see fit. Is it thick enough, or is it too thick? No. Okay. That's on. I can show you how to do that, but you have to feel that. That's the part that you have to do. You're up. Are you upside down? Look at your wood. Now you're right. Right-handed people always look at the wood. There you go. All right, now you're not twisting the brush. Okay. All right, just like I say, you're looking at the hairs like this. All I'm trying to do is drive them in the direction. I'm trying to keep it nice and lined up and straight. It's not a ton of twisting, but it is some. There you go. You feel comfortable with how steady, with how locked down you are with your hand. That's only you can do that. And now if you twist it too much, you get a blowout the other way.
Like that, okay.
Right. I am basically self-taught. I never went to art school. Nobody would tell you anything back when I was learning, but I wanted to do this. And I still want to do it every day. Every day I work 7 days a week. The brush is never far from my hand. I've been doing this for 35 or 40 years now because just learned to flat, 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 maybe jiggle it a little bit. You know, you don't want to go like that. Right. You don't want to do that because you get the hairs all flat, flat, wiggle it, that makes it even flatter. And we're a little tight right here. Yeah. But that right there feels about right to me. You're getting it? Now let me show you something. It's not that I was born with a steady hand. I know how to steady my hand. I use this hand a lot when you're starting. Some people do 3 fingers down, but I'm supported. I don't have a steady hand. I'm supporting it. You'll have to figure out, and you'll change your position a little bit for different things you do. I would practice this 3-point thing. It's basically 3 points touching. You're rock solid like that. You're twisting the brush as you get better. You won't have to have the 3 all the time, but that right there is rock solid. I mean, I could put it down anywhere I want to. And then you've got a space there. Pinstriping, you got to leave some room for that next color. You don't want to do the whole job with the first color. You got some space there to do something else. And that just looks, see how that is a little bit more flavorful than that. You know, so a more graceful S. Start it and bring it back in on down, and then the next one do more. There you go. Get that. Are you touching? See, you're touching with your heel. You need to touch your finger down to it. It's hard to keep your line quality straight. See, you're up in you're airbrushing. Airbrushing is different than painting or drawing because you're out here in air. Right. You don't have that grip. That's another reason about paleting. Your brush has to have a certain amount of grip. When it's too loose, it won't hold to the metal very good. It doesn't have any grip. I mean, I'm trying. It doesn't. It's got to have a click of traction. A click. Right. So let's do this. Because the S thing is extremely critical. You learn that, and you'll be on your way. That was the first thing I learned. Paint's a little loose. We'll come over here and do another one. It's just S's, C's, and straight lines, and now your pinstriper got a whole career out of 3 moves. You don't have to do the scrolling stuff. I'm keeping it out and then constantly driving it back in. It's all about the curves of a paint job.
It's drying so fast.
It's drying so fast. One shot would be better than this for this. But and I'm constantly bringing it back in. You know, you don't want to go like that. Just it's about it being a fluid motion back there. Now put a little finger, because you up there in your air. There you go. You got to support your hand. And you don't have to make it that fine. I made it that fine because it was that loose. It's more the form. It's just like lettering. It's not about the letter being 90 degrees off. It's about the letter form being correct. Try to blow it out at the top like a feather would be wide at the top. See how you kind of narrow it? Blow it on out a little bit, and then start bringing it down. Well, that's too far. But you know what I'm saying? I just made it.
Yeah.
It's like a letter G. Looks better with this move right here. When it kind of bends that way and then back that way, it just looks more graceful. Like I say, do your line and then blow it out a little bit more at the top. You still airbrushing. You got to put that finger down. Yeah, but you won't be able to maintain your line quality if you're up off the surface. You're locking that distance down with your fingers. And all of a sudden you was born with steady hands.
Oh, that makes sense now.
See how you can maintain your line with?
Yep.
And look at that. Way better than when you first started. But you're working on your line quality. Like I say, do the S, start, and all I'm doing is I'm blowing it out more right there, and then continuously driving it back in. But I want to get it back in before that curve. You get some paper, and I'm gonna do another one of them thing and make it look like that. A graceful S, not a whole, not just a graceful S. All right, stop. Now come this way. Like I said, go out and then back in. There you go. Out, now back in. That's it, exaggerated. Now I would have brought that down to, you bring it back to where it starts to curve the other way.
My name's Jason Duhan. I'm from Las Vegas, Nevada. And came here to work on learning more patterning skills and pinstriping. And today is the first day I've held a pinstriping brush, and just learning how to make curves and lines and brush control. Never done that before, and this is all brand new, but something I've been wanting to do for years. And they've got some amazing teachers and very talented artists. Just couldn't ask for a better group of people. Definitely going to be back next year. Spend some more time practicing at home over the next year, and working on the cars I've got to build, and hopefully putting some of these things I've learned to use, and come back a little more experienced next year and maybe take some of the advanced classes at that point.
And so hopefully next year, whoever's looking at this video, come on out here, because if this had happened when I was 25 years old, I would have been 10 years ahead of the ball game. I mean, you can get in 3 days out here with walking around watching. You will get years of experience and many, many issues that you learn by making a mistake. But let's not make that mistake. You can learn it out here on this piece of paper. And this would have pushed me forward many years had it been around back in the day. So hopefully we want this thing to grow. It's awesome. If you want to learn this stuff, I'm telling you, you can have a good life. There's nothing like being your own boss.
Switching over to Tamco was an absolute game changer, especially with what I was doing with clear coating over everything and not having to worry about stuff lifting, and just the product itself is just amazing. Tamco's products is just top notch to anything I've ever used. Everything literally from the pinstripe paint, primers, all the way to their clear coats is just beyond me.
My name's Rodino Bautista, and I've been doing this for the last 32 years. I'm an international bronze medalist in the Society of Illustration, and I did custom painting to pay for my college, and it became a passion of mine, you know, moving forward. And you know, through the years, I started doing a lot of you know, work, you know, in the local California area, in San Jose, California, Bay Area, and from there it expanded, you know, from California all the way down to different states. You know, back then there was no social media, and I did a lot of things being published in magazines and in booklets. And I've been illustrating now for about 22 years, and I do a lot of poster work for the motion picture industry and also big events for major corporations.
So today I'm learning some filigree with RWD. This is like truly an art form that's totally in its own separate bracket, and I think it's super rad. So yeah, I'm just learning how to do this design here. I added on a little bit myself just to try to learn my own taste, but yeah, that's what I'm learning filigree today.
So I'm doing engraving, metal engraving, custom painting, pinstriping, doing a little bit of mural here and there, and I'm painting around the world.
When you get in the hang of it, you know, pretty much what you want to do.
Right.
And if you don't feel the consistency of, you know, like the brush itself, you kind of more or less, you know, like take it off, go the other direction.
And just start from there.
Just start from there. So like I'm going to be doing some really fine you know, if you're going to airbrush it.
Yeah.
Could just say, instead of me using silver, I use like just say a different base on there. I could go back in there and spray a little bit of a 50-50 reducer and everything. What happens with the color, it breaks down a little bit.
Right, and it makes it
lighter.
Usable. Right.
It becomes lighter. So, but depending on how you do it, it's all going to depend on what temperature range you're going to have it to give that effect. So just say on this right here, this portion, I want this to pop out more, so I'll spray a little bit of airbrush in there with a reducer and the paint, and what happens is it's going to get lighter. So it comes out more.
You know, sometimes the weather, you know, with paint and everything, temperature-wise, it changes. So like in the environment that I pinstripe in my area, I have it all controlled. So usually with outlining it, I usually do an outline brush, but you know, I'm doing with a dagger brush today. like this, when he pulled it up, you could kind of see some of the areas. So with, you know, with brushing it, you can kind of more or less cover up some of the, because, you know, there was a temperature change on it, and it kind of really messed up some of the, but it's not like you can't cover it. And really, these are more of an illusion, you know, so it'll never be perfect. Because when I work on some of the motorcycles, I've never seen a perfect surface. On one side of the tank, it's either 1 inch off, you know, because when the factory welds it, it's never the same. And so what I'll do is I'm going to be adding some purples. I'm going to be adding a lot of things to make it work. So usually when I'm pulling it, I'm only doing like either 25 to 30 degree pull, and I keep it as consistent as I can. And especially in this temperature, you don't have to clear too much. You know, you could do pretty much as you can on it. I got involved with Tamco through one of my friends that I talked to, and introduced me to Tammy, you know, through DMs. Then we started, you know, talking, and she sent me some samples of the paint and the Brush FX. Started using it, realized that it was better than what I used and most of the paint that I use over the years that I was sponsored with. And now I'm using pretty much her Brush FX and also her custom paint. So here I am today, and loving the invitation, and I thank Tammy and Tamco for allowing me to be part of it, and hope this happens again. I mean, this is an awesome event, all in one place. You know, I hope 2021 is going to be a spectacular year for Tamco. I mean, with the takeover and all, I think they're the next step in the new generation of custom painting. You know, and I believe they'll start taking over, because now so many people are asking and also DMing me to where I can get the Tamco, and now it's like word of mouth is like really exploding right now.
My name's Kevin Kegler. I'm from Air Effects Airbrushing. We're located in Buffalo, New York. I run a pretty hectic shop. I do about 80 goalie masks a year, about 20 bikes, some large-scale wall murals. I paint KitchenAid mixers, toilet seats, mailboxes, guitars. I paint anything that sits still long enough. I started this a little bit earlier, but we're going to be teaching some lessons today. So once I get done with that, we'll get a good picture of it, and maybe they'll add it and edit it into the video. But we're gonna do some cool stuff. But I was teaching the Intro to Airbrush class. So basically what we do is we start off with some dots, and it's all to get your hand-eye coordination so that when that paint comes out of the gun, it hits exactly where you want it to. So we do a little drill here. I'm going to be working with Liam today, and we're just going to do some dots. And then we're going to come back the other way and make sure we hit our marks. This way it's easy because you have nothing that you need to hit. This way, you got to go a little bigger and make sure that you hit them dots, because there's nothing worse than when you want to hit here and you hit there. It ruins your paint job, or you got to fix it. So we're going to be doing some dots. We can get larger to smaller. Then we're going to come in. We're going to do some line work. Then we'll come this way. This is how the intro to airbrush starts. It's a little boring, but what you need to do is get that eye-hand coordination going, and then it creates what we like to call in the business muscle memory. So everything that you do, once you've done it repetitively enough, when you come back in to airbrush something that counts, or something that you feel like airbrushing and doing something cool, that you don't have to think about what you're gonna do. You just do it, and you can think about the paint job and how you want it to look. So it all escalates. It starts off small and it gets big. We got people that never picked up an airbrush, started out with me doing lines and just dots and dagger strokes. This is a dagger stroke. So you start off thick, you go to thin, then we do it the other way. Then we'll work on some spheres like this. Then we pick a light source, I'll pick it from here. And getting things so that we learn how to shade, we learn how to pick light sources. We work on our dagger strokes so we get thick to thin so that muscle memory starts to build in your finger. And then all of them move right into intermediate with Chad Kidder and Ron Jordan. And they're learning light source, and they're learning how to shadow and learning how to highlight. And you basically take something where they hold down a stencil like this. They blow some paint around it and get it situated. And then the instructors start working on you, and they'll use like a little texture stencil to build your textures, and then you'll come in and shade, you'll highlight, you end up painting skulls like this in 2 days. We're gonna start off Liam here, and he's gonna get some dot works in. Just make your dot, pull it back, try and stay in a line. The way I teach this is I don't want this hand to move. I want your body to move and your arms to stay in a nice tight frame. When you build a house, what do you got to start with? A frame, right? And then you build your foundation from there. So this is your foundation. When you make a line, it's back and forth, but you notice the airbrush never moves. All right, you don't want to do this because you have no control over it. You'll get a wavy line. But if you do it this way, you can keep your straight consistency. All right, get up kind of, yeah, right about there. There you go. Don't go as fast. You can slow it down so you can get a nice dot. Awesome. That's perfect. Now, what I want you to do is get your finger a little bit more on the trigger so you have more tension you can pull back, all right? Pull it back a little further, get more color. There you go. All right, keep going, do another row. Okay, now start back here and make a bigger dot around it. You want to keep right in line with it so you get it right over top, all right? There you go. Awesome. Now what I want you to do, here, watch me, is you start at that dot and you pull the, as you pull the trigger back, you pull the airbrush back and you make a fade. So you want to stay straight, come straight back. Now, if you were doing something cool to the bottom of this skull, when you pull out like that, you can make little drags like that so it looks like it's rusting and raindrops got to it. See, now it looks like a rivet, like there's a highlight there. You can make a dot, pull a line. The reason why you'll make a dot is so that you can get that sweet spot where you know that that's the thickness of line you want to get. We'll start over here and just make a dot and then pull a line. And I want to see a nice tight frame. Just pull straight across, all right? Look at that, you're a natural. So you can start here. All right, what I do is I ride my pinky finger on this when you're just starting out. It's good to ride your pinky finger because it gives you that stability. We'll do one of mine. Start it out with a glow and just go straight down on it. This one's easier. All right. All right, so that's some of the stuff that we do in the intro class. Then we teach the dagger strokes, then we'll teach the shading, and then we'll get on to our skulls.
All right, so this is a plastic sheen. You're going to want to peel that off, and then scuff this with the Scotch-Brite I provided. So you just want it to be dull. You don't have to dig into it, but you don't want any shiny spots. And that'll give the paint a tooth to bind to on the panel. Just a little bit more, and see a little bit up here. Yep, but a little bit more. But right here, that's what you want it to look like. Okay. You don't have to push hard. Your only goal is to get the sheen off of it so it's dull everywhere, no shiny spots. And then I'm going to come around with a rag and some 398 Final Wipe on it so you can wipe it off and clean it. And then you see how I bordered mine with tape? It gives it a really nice finished effect to look like it has a frame on it. Works great for smaller panels.
I'll do a little more on the nose here, maybe a little bit on the front here. Dagger strokes, small dagger strokes. All over, like a little bit of sporadic, because we don't want a super line. We want to make sure. So if you look up here, you want to kind of just keep it sporadic. I'm doing dots, I'm doing dagger strokes, but I'm also moving along.
Okay. So not just
we don't want it to look like anything. We don't want dot. Okay. We want dot, dagger stroke, dot. I'm mixing it up, making it a little different. Okay.
Hey, I'm Sean Trevis here at the Tamco Takeover 2000. I'm here with Danny Riddle, and we're going to go ahead and show him how to airbrush a little bit with a traditional style airbrush and a trigger style airbrush. We're going to start out with a more traditional style airbrush, which is a button. This is a 0.3 needle nozzle.
Okay.
We have magnetic tips.
Yes.
We have quick releases and air regulators right here. Also, we have really nice ergonomic grips instead of holding on the metal. This top part right here is a pressure cap. So if you want to pop it off to be able to put paint inside, this part right here twists. So sometimes people want to twist this and then the paint comes off when they twist the cap off. So we want to go ahead and put that on. So we're going to go ahead here now and put some paint. This is some Tamco pre-mixed intensity. Put a little bit of paint in there. So dual action. You're gonna go ahead and push this button straight down. Yep. Straight down and slide this button back to get paint. Yep. You can go in a little bit closer to get a finer line.
Right.
Slide that thing back to get a little bit more coverage.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Now Danny here is a pinstriper, and we're getting him involved with airbrushing, just like he's going to be getting me involved with the stripe brushes. Now since you tried that out, now let's try this this other little trigger style airbrush. So really convenient here. You got your quick releases, so you can go ahead and pop this right off. Put it on over here. All right, so this is our trigger style airbrush. It's going to be the same exact thing as our button style. Everything upstairs is the same. The only difference is now we got a trigger and a handle. It's dual action, single motion. So the first stage is going to be air, and then the second stage is going to be your paint that comes out, applying more pressure. Coming in real close, you can get a really fine line. Same pressure, and if you want to make it faded, keeping that pressure, you're going to hold this airbrush and bring it out a little bit farther from the paper. You're going to move back in to sharpen that back up. Now if you go and integrate both of those, you're going to get a lot more coverage. It's going to be a little cheater. This controls your paint flow.
Oh, great.
Danny, this is going to be the dual action.
Gotcha.
A single motion. So the first part of this is going to be air. Okay. And then from the back there, you're going to pull it back and you're going to get paint coming out.
Right.
So we're going to let you go ahead and test that out a little bit. Go a little heavier in there. You can really make those stand out if you go heavier. It'll make all the other stuff disappear. Good job, man.
I like this.
Good job.
I'm from Glendale, Arizona. This is our project here. It's kind of a realistic portraiture class. We're using eraser techniques to pull in highlights and different textures in the whole portrait. Especially through the hair. I'm going to be teaching wet eraser techniques along with scratching to get all the details in the blonde hair. And another thing I wanted to show the class was how to do mechanical items, such as a gun, the bracelet here, not only with the skin tones, but other elements to bring the picture together as a whole. Right now we're working on the hair. So shortly we're going to start erasing some details in here, trying to pull more textures, soft and hard, throughout the whole hair. Okay, this is too dark as well. Try to lighten that up with some of this eraser, but make this a little bit more fluid. Yes. Right now it just looks like chunks of color. Yeah. So. This right here. It's right here. So come back with the wet eraser and just dig, and get these details back again, and then we'll move forward into this. So work this whole area. Okay. Down in here, I'm just gonna pull a few of those wisps off. Now we're just subtracting with the paint. Okay, we added a little bit, very lightly. Don't want to go too dark, because if we go too dark, we can't pull this paint back off. And just like how, let's see, what section was it? We kept adding, well, in this section, we have to soften up with the pencil just to make this line disappear, because in this section, we're going to do a lot of freehand and maybe a little pencil just for these like little frizzly hairs right here. Okay. In this section, you'll see I'm going to be adding a little bit, taking away, and keep going over and over and over. And that'll probably be in this section right here, a little bit back here, and then the rest, you're just going to start hitting it with. I would still stick with the light, because I want to slowly build up the color. If we use the dark color, the line's going to be too thick and too globby. And we're just it's gonna start losing all the detail. We want to stay as much as we can with the tiniest detail, the smallest little black lines we can get in there, okay? If you notice, if you're trying to, in the other areas earlier, you're erasing and erasing and going over and over. And if you just wetted it, you could probably take it off with just like 2 strokes and it was gone. So that's what we're trying to hit it more aggressively with the water technique.
If this was a darker colored car, like a red car,
okay,
is that why sometimes people put down a white base? Like I'll see them just have a quick outline of like the thing, and they feather in some white.
Yeah.
Would that work with this?
This technique wouldn't work, however, because once you start erasing, you're going through that white back down to the red base, and
so it would cut through. It would cut that hard.
Yeah, well, the eraser would. Yeah, it's because the airbrush is so thin, is cutting through that white base to bring up their I mean the red base. Sorry, the white that they're putting on the red base. It's going to cut through, and you're going to see red underneath it. The base is red, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with say like a black panel. People, just like how they're doing right there.
Yeah.
They went in with the grays, build up the tones. They went back with the blacks to carve everything up, tighten it up. Now, if they went to erase on it, if it was true black, I don't know if they repainted those black or not, but if they went into erase, it would go back to black, not white. See, your pressure is actually really high for a micron. See that you had yours all the way up. You feel that? You want to be shooting at about that much with your micron.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to clean out my gun. I want to rethin my paint.
Yeah, see, also, your needle is not seated into the cone. See how it's just right when I hit it, it's coming right out. So pull this out, take this off, spray it out with your needle, and then push it back in and give it a light twist. And that'll make the needle seat into the cone even further. Okay. So no paint is leaking around it, because every time when you thin out your paints, there's a small gap that happens between your cone and your needle. okay?
Yeah.
And then when you thin, well, if you had thick paint, and then when you thin it out, that gap is still there, so you can push it forward just slightly. What we did right here is we blew in a little bit more pigment just to get a general shade of these sections right here. And after that, we came back with the eraser just to pull in details of where the white highlights are going. After this, we'll come back with more color just to make it darker, and we'll repeat that process of erasing with this eraser and the wet dry eraser technique. So it just keeps being repetitive. Therefore, it's going to get darker and darker where it's darkest, and it's going to get lighter in the lightest highlight areas. See how much detail was pulled in there?
Yeah.
Get a good look at it.
So a lot of the time, like in this area, it wasn't a matter of you trying to get the small strokes. It was just a matter of putting the right shade. So when you So when you're
Yes.
already knowing that you're going to cut it.
Yes, because if you step back and look at it, you can see this is, of course, everything is fuzzy way back here. You're not going to see every little strand and detail up until you get about right here. But back here, that's what you're focused on. Is you can see a nice little shade in here, which I threw in. Blended it right there, down here, and then when you get close up to it, that's where you see all the little strands of hair, all the detail, and that's what you're erasing back in there. So when we go back in here, it's just going to go a little bit darker, a little bit more tighter with our detail, with our little lines, you know what I mean? We're going to start getting darker and darker in here, even on the outside of this, going into our background color, and then coming back more with the wet eraser and this poly eraser, okay? So what we did right here is we blew in a little bit more pigment just to get a general shade of these sections right here. And after that, we came back with the eraser just to pull in details of where the white highlights are going. After this, we'll come back with more color just to make it darker, and we'll repeat that process of erasing with this eraser and the wet dry eraser technique. So it just keeps being repetitive. Therefore, it's going to get darker and darker where it's darkest, and it's going to get lighter in the lightest highlight areas. Did everybody spray your colors in? You guys are good, right? You're almost there. You're good to go. How are you doing, Ron? Working on it? All right. Let me know when you get there. Don't go too dark, though. Not too dark. Okay. I think it's been a fantastic turnout. For the first time, I mean, I can't wait for next year to happen. I know it's going to be a little bit more planned, so people have more preparation as far as time and finances to make the show next year. And definitely it's going to be I expect it to be at least twice as big, so guaranteed. So many classes, just so many cool things going on. I mean, there's a few instructors here that I want to take their classes, you know, and everybody agrees, you know. It's just so much going on, so much to offer and so much to learn. It's crazy.
This is just silver leaf, so it's just real fine aluminum. You can see it just disintegrates into nothing. So it's real easy to scratch. So this real fine sandpaper on my turning tool here, we'll just put a little bit of a score on it, and it makes a bunch of circles in it. It makes it look pretty holographic. So if we we move it around for the camera, you can see the little circles dance and change shape.
Better than mine's gonna look. Yeah, I think that's about good to start laying some stuff down. And that's my thing too, I like cutting it into strips. You waste a lot less material. Yeah, so usually what I do is just take a little bit of extra and the thing that I like to do is instead of doing a choppy, it's just
rub it in.
And then take your pinky and kind of
run the crease.
Getting that crease there.
Yeah. And with the creases, what I like to do is get a little access on it and just
sideways. Yeah. Usually what I do kind of go both sides.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
So a quick little.
Because that way when it overlaps, sometimes you'll get that little bit of a gap, and just having that excess on it will fill those in.
Kind of work it out both ways.
Yeah. And some people turn it with the tape still on it. Some people take the tape off.
I take the tape off.
The only time I really will leave it on is if it's on like a really nice paint job and I'm doing it over clear. Because if not, you can see the little haze.
Right, from the 5000.
Yeah. And I kind of like to go back and...
That's why I like pulling that tape when I size it.
Yeah.
So I think it just flows out.
It gives it a nice crisper edge, yeah.
Oh, you actually don't.
Yeah, I don't overlap. I'll leave a little bit of a...
Gotcha, yeah. So I always done it like 75.
Yeah. Because see, like I said, I mean, I don't mind doing it by hand, but to me, when I put it on a drill, it brightens it up more. Go look at that out in the sun. Yeah.
That was the first time I ever did it.
Heck yeah, dude, that's clean.
Because again, leafing is just it's just sitting there. You know, it's a glue, but it's an oil-based glue. It's just kind of just it's just on top of it. Well, notice I let off the pressure because right here it tore. It's too humid right now for that thing to dry.
I was going to say, is it too wet yet?
It's too wet. Well, no, actually the weather is too humid. So even though it was still tacky enough to put the leaf in, it's not fully cured because it's too humid.
Could you be able to spin that tomorrow?
You can. Yeah. So
are you better off getting on it?
No, you can actually apply the leaf on the whole project you're doing, and you come back the next day and still spin it. You're not gonna lose nothing on that. So yeah, it's a little bit still too humid out here.
Is there too long a time period between you apply and...
Yeah, yeah. If you wait too long, your silver leaf is not gonna stick. Yeah.
No, I mean after
spin
it.
To spin it. What was as long as you wait to spin it? You just spin it right away. I've waited a day. Yeah, like the next day, like once I get all my silver leaf, then I'll spin it. You know, I'll wait up to a day.
If it was on there for a couple days, would it spin?
It'll still spin. Yeah.
And that's what I was wondering, because if you had to walk away for some reason for like 3 days or something, you'd be able to come back and spin it.
Yeah, I mean, you probably don't want to push it that long, but if you do have to, I mean, it'll still spin. Whenever you're doing, like, say, right now, we already know that was too fast to apply the leaf. So then, you know, if you want to get technical, then you check what temperature you're at right now, right? And the conditions. So next time you know, hey, look, man, so at 75, 10 minutes didn't work. Plus, I don't want to be doing this outside in the, you know, where it was humid. So then you write that information down so you dial in, man, so it's automatically, oh man, well, I need to put this time in for this temperature and I'll be okay. With the leafing, you gotta wear the Michael Jackson glove right here. Yeah, because again, you don't want to like tarnish your leaf. Plus, you could polish that.
Come on, Sick, just pull it.
So you're pretty much just feeding it.
Oh, yeah. It's crazy how it sticks so perfectly.
Again, that's laying down your sizing thin enough. That's the result you want.
I think that's what years ago I tried it, and I think that was the biggest problem.
It was too thick.
Yeah, because you're thinking that you need it.
You need it more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then you're rolling it. Is that rubber, that roller?
Yeah, this is
Like
a
hard
speed
rubber?
ball for like the for the like screen printing and stuff like that. So another artist put me on to using a roller.
It just makes it like lay flatter.
Yeah.
So again, the flatter you get it, the better it's gonna turn.
Then brush, then circles, X's.
Just to grab the edge.
Yeah, sometimes I go up and down, then I do circles to grab the edge. Up and down, circles.
So see, this right here, you know, it looks kind of faint, right? So another thing to do, you could drop a little bit of like a one-shot yellow or an enamel just so you could see where your sizing's at. You know, so you make sure like, okay, well, I missed that spot. Exactly. That way you can have a little bit of color. Yellow is probably the best, like a guide. So you can actually see where this probably don't matter because it will be get paint stripe, and you can clean that up.
But if it was bigger and a stripe wouldn't hide it, then you have to cover it up.
So then you can
actually put a little color in the
You could put a little bit of color in the sizing to kind of guide you
If that
where.
had to be fixed, can you go on top of this with sizing?
Yeah, I'll take a little brush and a
just
small
try to
detail
get it
brush
where
and
it
just
is?
kind of fill in what you miss before you turn it. Yeah. So then you can turn this one.
Oh, y'all want to try to turn the leaf? Who wants to try it? Yeah, right there. So don't press it down too hard. You just want that cushion. There you go. There you go.
Can I do a half of one?
Do another half of one. So there's different styles, right? You could stack them, or you could put up one next to the stacking. Looks way better. Exactly.
You're on that side.
Yeah.
Right, you're on that side. Oh, that's it. I'm hooked.
Yeah, rest. Yeah, there you go. Rest your hand.
Use it like a guide.
And actually, like what I do, I'm already spinning before I touch it.
Yeah, you kind of already.
Before you touch it, I already have the drill going at a good speed.
And then just push it down.
Exactly.
A little faster, spins. There you go. Yeah.
See? So that I'm gonna tell you what you have to guide it with your hand first. Like say, when you hold it, you know, like just kind of so because it's gonna move on you. Either like this, just so you could keep it just in a certain. So what you want to do is just kind of.
Tips up.
So see how it already has some buildup on it?
Yeah.
These will do, this sandpaper will do a car, you know, but then you gotta replace it. So usually what I do, I kind of like take the blower and just kind of clean it up a little bit and it'll last a little bit longer. But these are also designed, you don't have to use a drill. You can use it by hand. So then here.
Yeah, I had never seen it done with a drill.
So you can still spin it. There's more time, plus you won't. It's not gonna look as good as that.
Now the overlap, when you're doing this, what kind of overlap do you usually achieve? Like a 50%?
It depends on what look you want. You could do an overlap 50 or 25, or maybe just butt it up right next to each other. Because you can actually butt it up and then take the smaller size and put it right in the middle and make a different effect. I learned a trick from a guy, old pinstriper, man. He had the, you know, the paint markers? Does it have a gold and a silver?
He would use.
I mean, because you could never, I mean, if like, because sometimes whenever you miss a spot, you hit it with that, just that marker. Once you get comfortable with this, like, well, you could actually get on it. See how I change it up right there?
Yeah, it's right here.
Yeah, now it fills the whole panel too.
Because see what I'm doing right here?
Yeah, now the whole panel is completely full.
Exactly. So once you get comfortable and you know, like, your limit, how much to pressure apply, you're actually polishing the leafy now. Right. You're not really, like, you know,
you're not grinding.
You're not. Yeah, you just, because you know where you should be as far as your pressure. Yeah. You know, so you know, intentionally, you know, if we do a lot of pressure, see how it starts tearing through? Right? It starts tearing through. Yeah. That's a lot of pressure.
Start with the center line, and I'll put a basic design down. It's pretty much even like advanced stuff. All the advanced stuff starts with kind of a basic design. Now, a big part of when I'm taping out, see, I'm also a pinstriper, so obviously a big thing on pinstriping is the symmetry. You know, it's really even on both sides. So when I tape out, me being a pinstriper, it helps me out on my tape layouts a lot because I'm really picky on like where I'm going, you know, keeping my negative space even. And what I mean by negative space is like this gap I just created. That's negative space. Negative space is all the shapes my tape is creating. So when I put that tape down, I just make sure I kept the same gap, you know, all the way up. And if you do that and keep all your negative space the same, it keeps your design even and the same. So always be like looking at what little shapes your tape is creating and really focus in on that and be really, really, really particular with that. As you go, just always be watching that and making sure that those areas stay like that. If they can stay like that, your design's gonna be really, really straight. Now, if I start moving too fast, just stop me. Don't be afraid to stop me. Because some of the stuff that just kind of comes natural to me now, I don't even really think about it, I just do. I had to catch myself in the first class to kind of slow down. There's some stuff that just kind of comes natural to me that I had to explain. So right now what I'm doing, I'm putting this tape down as my guide. So like this is keeping me, you know, 3/4 of an inch off the edge. So when I do my next line, I'll just butt my next line up to that and keep gapping all the same. This is what I'm talking about when I say I don't use a tape measure or a ruler or anything like that. I just kind of let my tape take me where it takes me. designs that I'm coming up with, I'm just kind of winging this. I just, there's really no right or wrong way to do it. It's all about what you're into and what kind of style, I guess, you create over time. Everybody's stuff is different. That's the cool thing about custom painting. Pull this up. See what I mean? How the gapping keeps me even on each side. Symmetry's good, yeah. Symmetry's good. Right now we're all right. And another important part is once you start this, say you get off just a little bit. Say you get off like an 1/8 inch over on this side. Always stop yourself. I know it can be annoying to stop yourself and fix it, because continue to do that. By the time you get to the end of your design, it keeps walking on you. By the end of the design, you might be a 1/2 inch off at the end. And that's now. So I'll probably do 1 or 2 more, and then we'll kind of start showing you the back masking process. And once I get it taped off, I'll show you some of the stuff I'm talking about with the negative space. I'm going to kind of show you what my mind's telling me, and then we'll start doing some masking and some like effects and stuff. So right now, on these, I want to make like some little, I guess 3/4 inch wide graphics. What I'm going to do, like I said, back to the tape. I don't ever use a tape measure. Nothing wrong with using a tape measure. I just think this is faster. This is what works for me. So I'll use these as a guide.
If you're using a tape measure, you're probably using a pencil or something to put marks down, or how would you
yeah, they make little like Stabilo pencils or like wax pencils. Yep. A lot of the times, what you can do is you can have a pen with you, and on your like say you're going across an area this wide, you're trying to find the center point. I always put tape down, and then I'll maybe measure with my tape measure. I'll take my pen and I'll write on the tape the center line, and I might measure over 2 inches, make me some reference points. You can maybe do that.
Same thing as you're doing with the tape, though. Really, in that sense.
Realistically, yeah. This tape is just literally just a guide for me. I mean, I just found it way faster. I'm just more efficient, work a lot faster with just using tape as my guide. And they make all different sizes, you know. So like some of this tape goes up to like 2 inches wide. It's 2-inch tape. But those next to each other, guess what? That's 4 inches. You know what I mean? You just kind of repeat that.
Done yet?
No, we're good. Just like the other day, I'm getting carried away.
It's a good thing you brought that wood roll.
I don't like that vinyl tape shit at all. Little high right all right. Should probably stop. I want to keep going, but probably stop. Yeah, what do we want? Tidy. Get some layering going on here. Oh, here. Split that. Does anybody have any questions or anything? I know I'm kind of working fast, but if you have any questions, just please, I cannot stress enough, do not be shy.
Are you going to keep the center line, Brandon?
I'm not. I will peel the center line for sure. That center line's just simply there for reference for me, yeah. Yep. pretty good design, pretty good little layout, I guess, for what we're about to do. All right. So right now, and I know it might be kind of hard for you guys with vision. I can see what this is kind of looking like. So this is like the initial layout. This is where you can branch off and go from like basic to like really advanced real fast, because you can add a bunch of stuff to this stuff. But like right now, you want to, I don't know if everybody can see. So right now we have our first pattern, we have our second pattern, our third pattern, I guess technically our third, our fourth. We have this area, then we have this area right here. That's all going to be, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 patterns. So realistically, those 6 patterns can be there could be 6 different colors. You can maybe do like a color here and do the same color here. I mean, whatever you want to do. This is where everybody's going to be different and branch off. Some guys might like green, some guys might want purple, some guys might want to do the whole thing in one color and separate it with shadowing. This is the fun part about custom painting. There's really no rules to it. So that's kind of a basic initial layout. Now what we'll do now is we'll start backmasking everything to start the color. When we backmask, we'll mask it up and we'll weed out the areas that we want to paint. And once we get those areas weeded out, that's when we can start doing like little effects, like little like water drops or scales or sun ray look, any of that kind of stuff. And then if you want to add anything else, you can add. Now's the time to add some more stuff. Now we'll backmask it. I mean, you can seriously just use tape if you want to use tape, or you can use. It's like vinyl transfer. If you get it from like a vinyl shop, like the stuff you literally put on vinyl stickers. It's kind of see-through, low tack. So I'll put it on, you can kind of still see your design underneath, and I'll go back with a razor blade and I'll kind of weed everything out. So, in my opinion, it does. Some guys like it, some guys don't. And it's super low tack, so you don't got to worry about it being really, really sticky on like paint. This just, in my opinion, faster. It makes it cleaner, and when you start using tape and stuff, that tape's not see-through, so like you have a tendency of getting lost. You don't know like what's going on underneath. You might forget until you unmask it. With this, you can still, I mean, you can still pretty much see what you've done. And I like it because it's really, really super low tack. It's really thin. So yeah, so we'll have transferred out. We'll start at the top. We'll just weed that out. I might do that one and maybe that one in the same color. So now I'll take my razor blade and I will just split the difference of that tape, and I'll peel up the areas I got. So. When I do the water drop effect, I usually do that at the end of the day. I'll do it at the end of the day when I'm about to close the shop down. I'll do my water drop effect and I'll walk out. Because you gotta let that water evaporate. And what I mean by the water drop effect, when you do that, you know that it makes it look like water. It's super easy technique. You literally get your area you want done. You literally like dribble water drops on it. Take your gun or your airbrush at a really low pressure with like some black, and you kind of get back at an angle and you want to dust that black on like the back side of those water drops. And if you really want to make them look good, go to the other side and hit it with a little white. And then you literally just walk away. That water will evaporate and it leaves the shadow you create, a little circle. And that's it.
So when leafing comes in, what's the steps on that?
So on leafing, I mean, leafing's a totally different ball game.
Yeah.
super finessey. I like to leaf at the very end. I don't like to tape on my leafing. Yep, see how I weeded that out? Now we got an area that's just gonna get paint. This is all covered.
But I mean, if you want to gift it to me at the end, if it might.
So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go grab an airbrush and lay this on there. You're gonna take your airbrush and you're gonna blow around these, okay? And then we're gonna move it down and over. I'll explain it to you. Then you're just gonna do that again, and you're gonna repeat that all the way down.
If you get really, really close, you get it really dialed in tight, you know? You can really get it dialed, or you can move it back and you get more fuzz. And sometimes you just got to move a little faster. And when you do your scales, you just want to give that edge a shade. Because really you get a sharp black line and then you get a gray blend and it will turn into silver.
I'm just gonna have to mess around with it.
Yeah, you just gotta play with it. It just takes a little time. This one you were back farther, so you got most of it covered in black. But if you can do the same thing, you can still stay back farther on this. It's easier with two hands. You're having to hold that down. But if you have two hands on it, you can control it way better.
You see how I'm just shifting over pretty much half a scale every single time. You're probably gonna go cross-eyed by the end. Below this.
Everywhere you pass over this, it's gonna leave a
peel.
Compound fade off. Yeah, it's like block compound on the edge.
And you're literally just gonna repeat that all the way down. And I always try to like, I don't know, I try to aim my pattern like, instead of aiming the edge, I aim right here and like let it blow over. You get the feel.
Yeah. See how it's trying
Am I too heavy on it?
A little heavy, you're fine. So, rule of thumb with an airbrush, always keep it moving.
Okay.
Like how you're kind of going back and forth. I don't do that. I always keep, because when you go back and forth, think about it, when you come here and you stop, split second and go back, that area gets a little more paint than all the other areas.
There you go. And then just do that, go back and forth like 3 or 4 times and you'll get your perfect gradient blend of black.
Where'd you get the board from?
Oh, you haven't got one? I think there's one So those of you who have never taped out a board like this and had to razor blade all this tape without focusing on cutting too deep and cutting off your line and stuff like that, you can take a pen and trace your tape so that you know where your lines are. And you can follow inside the lines with a razor blade, it's a little easier to focus when you start getting a lot of colors on here and all your layers are piling up, you start to lose where these lines are. It's hard to follow them.
So when I do it, you know, I make sure my fans, you know, even with the board, don't angle it, and I do 75% overlaps. So like instead of like, you know, when you do your overlap, instead of splitting it 50-50, I do about 75. And you know, make sure you blow all the way through. See how his fan ends right there and blows all the way off. You want to do that way. That keeps the tiger stripe. It keeps getting darker areas, lighter areas.
With candies on boards, you'll have a real hard time messing it up. I mean, you're spraying such small areas that just a little bit of a fan is plenty to do these. When you're doing a whole car, you really got to pay attention to your overlaps and
one car.
Yeah. On this one, I'll show you on one, and if you want to do the rest, then you can do the rest, okay? I'll do the long one, that's the hardest one. We're just gonna follow our exact line of the orange. We want the center of our spray to be right on the edge where it turns silver. Okay. So we just... So you just trace your line, right? Just like there's tape there, okay? Remember, lock your elbow in, get nice and comfortable, trace it in. Looking natural, man. Yeah, that's scary, huh?
Right on the edge, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you missed a spot right there. Yeah, just tie everything in. And like I said, you don't want to crowd it up too much, just make it look. So see, just that yellow halo right there, it had a whole different dimension.
Yeah, totally different.
So that's what we're talking about. We're working
and
with
that could have been almost any.
I want to do it a
could
pearl.
have done that with pearl, like a gold too.
Like a gold pearl, but actually that yellow works because it brings this yellow up.
It out, yeah.
You know, instead of just having, you still got that fade,
right?
But now you got a double fade, whereas yellow here and yellow there into the orange.
This board's kind of more of a subtle board. Like I was telling him yesterday, like we got more work into this thing, even though it doesn't really look like it.
Oh no, there's a lot of work on it.
There's a lot of undertones on this one, so like we got a lot of work on this, but it's just, it's shaded differently than the rest of them with the candy.
Yeah.
Let me see. We can do this two ways. We can make all the silver gold, or we can take and shade around this edge where we fogged it with the orange, shade a little farther out with the gold and just kind of let it blend in. But we can start there, and if we want to go more, we'll just cover it all. You don't have to get a line on it, so you want to pull the trigger all the way back, but be back far enough that you're not like zeroed in on it. So just like this.
Oh, it's like a fan.
Yeah, just use it like a fan. So it'll just kind of melt in and turn from, I actually like the way it looks all gold, but either way will look really cool. Crank that thing back and just remember, lock it in and move all the way down. So now you can make your decision if you want to do all of this gold or if you just want that little blend in there.
Right, like the same thing you're doing, but then slowly, gradually start fading it
coming up
with less dots. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That way it looks like it's just kind of fading away, but just dots. You know, that probably look good.
So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna let this spit. We got our air turned almost all the way off. We're gonna let this black spit on there, and let it contact, run our fingers through, and it kind of gives like a streaky texture. And then after we get that down, we'll click into the orange candy. We'll bury it in candy so it kind of has like an effect underneath.
Just on that edge.
Yeah, that's probably good. Yeah, those are good big drops. Yeah.
There you go. And now all it is just like a little undertone or a texture. Now we'll candy over that. And when you candy over it, you know, that's going to come through the candy and it's going to have a little, it's going to separate from the rest of the graphics. I always hit about 2 coats of candy. You can keep going, obviously. The more candy you put on, the darker it's going to get. It's all preference. But then you got to worry about your take lines building up and all that stuff. So
you could also take a red and highlight the edges of this.
Oh yeah.
And have kind of a blended red to orange.
Sure.
Squeeze it, move a little bit slower and get that nice wet overlap.
This is a 30-minute gear. Remember we were talking about last time that I was like, man, like the more I use it, like the better I'll get at it, you know. But yeah, you can't beat it, bro.
So we're at day 2 of the Tamco Takeover. This is the introduction to graphics class. These guys took these boards from just silver flake to full color, as you can see with all these ones here. These are all of our guys. They absolutely killed it. Me and Brandon are both really proud of the progress that they made. And around 12 hours, they took these boards from never doing this before to literally like being able to sell their work now. So
yeah, that's for sure.
I think they got a little bit more than an introduction to graphics. I think they're all, we can almost call them custom painters today, so.
Yeah, I went from a beginner class to advanced class real quick. Students took off with it, had a blast, and obviously I feel like it shows in the work they put out, so they should be very proud.
All right, Chris, so we're gonna get this in the blast cabinet. We're gonna gain our mechanical properties, our adhesion properties through the mechanical process. So this is 80 grit media blast. So you're gonna get in there, blast this thing. You wanna get rid of this shine, because if you just try to put paint on top of this, it's like soft Velcro. I think of this as soft Velcro, and paint is soft Velcro. Soft Velcro and soft Velcro, they don't bind. What I want you to do is get in here and blast that to create the hard Velcro. Once you create that hard Velcro, you get that bite for that paint. And as you'll see, you'll start to see the shine slowly disappear. Normal time takes me about 5 minutes to go around that to get that nice uniform, dull look that you're going for. All right, so go ahead and pull that mug out, and I'm gonna show you the difference between that prepped and blasted mug to just your unprepped. So you see the difference? You got rid of all the shine. You created so much bite. So this right here, paint won't stick to this. Paint's gonna stick to that. And right now you're eliminating and minimizing any paint failure. And this right here is the most important process of your whole paint process. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna get this prepped with the adhesion promoter, the top dog. So right now we are set up with the mechanical adhesion properties. Now we're gonna add on the chemical adhesion properties. You know, why not double it down? Get your mechanical and get your chemical adhesion. So what I'm gonna want you to do is shoot a very, very mist coat on this. So very, very light coat. Go all the way around one time and we'll let that flash off. There you go. And that's perfect. So now you got yourself a nice light mist coat. We'll let this flash for 5 minutes and shoot another coat that looks just like that one.
Timer.
Set your timer. So right now we're doing this pink. You got this nice and shook up.
Yeah.
So go ahead and lay down a nice medium to wet coat on this. There you go. I like that pink. So that's the lipstick pink from the Dragon series. And so we'll let this dry, give it a good flash time of 5 minutes. And we'll come back down and lay down another second coat.
I like this because it's the right size when we're painting.
Yeah, so that adapter is pretty nice because just enough paint in there to go around and do one full coat without wasting and minimize your overspray.
I like that.
All right, so go ahead and lay down your second coat and let's make that thing pink. I'm gonna get out of your way here. There we go, build up that pink. And I'm gonna say let's do another coat. We'll let this dry for about 5 minutes. So go ahead and set your flash time and we'll hit that up with that third and final coat. What do you think of that pink though?
Yeah, it's nice.
It's nice. So this is the Dragon series here. It hasn't even been released yet. You're one of the first to spray this lipstick pink. Beautiful
I definitely
pink.
want it.
Oh yeah, I've seen it out there a few times. I want this color too. So.
Well, I tried the purple the other day, and that's really
The Dragon series are very, very vibrant.
It's like tones of different colors.
It's very beautiful, very beautiful. So how's your flash time looking?
It is 2 minutes on the dot.
All right, so we'll let that dry off and shoot that next color here in a couple more minutes. So go ahead and lay down that third and final coat on that one. Oh yeah, that looks good. So, all right, so right now you got your third and final coat.
It looks like a purplish pink.
I just call it beautiful. So right now you did 3 medium to wet coats on this. You want to make sure to do that in increments because you don't want to lay down one single coat. You're going to end up with just streaks all over it. You're going to end up with heavy spots. You're going to end up with sags. So slowly build up that paint, and it just makes it easier for you to spray on and get your final coat on that. So what do you think of this?
I think it's beautiful.
I like that pink. The more I see this pink around, the more I'm ready to spray it.
It's a different tone from when we had it in the silver.
Yes, so this is right on top of a stainless. So you're gonna have a different color. If it was on top of silver, you're gonna have more reflective on that pearl. You lay this down on a white base, it's gonna be very nice and bright. Lay it down on a black, it's gonna get a little bit darker for you. All right, so yeah, so now what you wanna do is you got this going on here, you wanna figure out where you're gonna spray this. Let's go ahead and tape this off. Make sure you get that nice and tight. So I when you want to relieve a little bit of the pressure, because it's gonna slide up on you, right? Okay. So let's get a little bit more tension on that. Because you saw it'll slide right up once you release that. So go ahead and let that go. There you go. So now what you want to do when you're spraying, rotate this. You don't want to get any jarring or any sort of movement on that because this lace will want to move, and if it moves while you're spraying, you'll get a very distorted look. So the goal is to move this very, very gingerly and just hit that up. So now you have your leopard print on this space here.
Yeah.
So what I would do is just mist up around the bottom and then find that spot where you want to fade it off. What you could do is do a tape all the way around.
Yeah, that's what I think.
So let's do that right here. So we'll tape that right here, go around, and what this will do, what that'll do, that will hold the lace in place as well. So what's going to happen is you're going to have a hard edge here. So as long as you're okay with that, you're going to have that hard edge when you're spraying. So get your black ready to go, get the spray gun ready to go. And I'll rotate the mug for you while you're spraying. Just lightly kiss around the top of the mug. I'll rotate it for you. All right, we're good on that side. So now what I want you to do is spray the bottom side of the mug in the vertical pattern.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right, go for it. So just very, very light coats. We'll rotate it all the way around. All right, we'll go ahead and we'll let this dry. All right, Teresa, so now we're gonna do the final coat.
Okay.
Shoot the rest of the black on there, get that thing nice and black, and we'll go ahead and reveal off of there. So I'll
Take it off slowly?
Yep, so I'll take it off slowly, there you go. All right, so hit up around that bottom there. All right, now focus up here, and I'll rotate that for you. So now you're trying to get rid of all the pink that's on there. Start covering up all that pink. So you're looking really good. So, all right, that's gonna be good. I say let's take this off. All right, you ready?
Yeah, you go.
Let's do it. All right, let's remove this one too. Or we'll see if we can get this off. So here we go. Oh, here we go. Oh, there we go. We got Bettis out there. Oh man, look at that. There you go. So what do you think?
Yeah.
There you go. Good job. I like that. Like Adam was saying, you can stack it on, stack it on, stack it on, stack it on. If you stack it on too much, you can't take it off. And that's what happens with the run. You know, it's like you're spraying on, you can't take it off. So you'll see me go around. One nice thing we're doing is you start at one point and you spray light. By the time it comes back around to you, it's dry and you're stacking it up. So I'm going to sit here and just go around this about 3 or 4 times, building up this orange, and you're pretty much eliminating all of your zebra stripes. Because I mean, right now I have my pattern brought in really narrow, almost like a 2-inch pattern, and I'm spraying it about 4 inches back.
How about your fan?
The fan pattern. So you're eliminating all the zebra stripes as you're going around multiple times, and you're stacking it up. And so right now you're tinting all that flake that you laid down yesterday. You're laying down that tint on top of that flake. You're burying the black and you're burying that flake and you're getting that nice color. So as I'm looking right now, it's not as orange as I want it. So my next coat, I'm going to do a little bit more red with it. So bring in a little bit more of that.
Yeah, it looks yellow.
So here you go. So check this out. You see how much paint I used? It's hardly anything at all. So
how much did you fill up in there? All
to the top. I've lost count of how many times I've gone around. It's just a preference of building it up. You do not want to run it, because once you run it, you're done, you know? This is HC 9500, the 30-minute high-impact clear. This is the second wet coat that we're going to do. This was sprayed about 25 minutes ago. It's dry. Yeah. It's dry. Awesome. Having a blast.
Hi, I'm Sergio Cantu from Third Gear Customs out in Temecula, California. And this here is Saul.
Hi, I'm Saul Osorio from Tucson, Arizona. I'm out here with Sergio, teaching this carbon fiber, how to restore and refinish carbon fiber with Tamco products.
Tamco has been a lifesaver for the carbon fiber industry. What we're doing here is trying to showcase everybody that is unfamiliar with carbon fiber of how easy it is to restore or to make adjustments to fix delaminated products such as this. It's extremely old, it's falling apart. A lot of people are afraid of items like this, but they can be fixed and restored. And we owe that all to the Tamco products. So we have panels that have pitting, they have delamination, they have weak spots that are breaking through, that are causing pinholes. And these examples here can all be repaired to get back to a high quality finish. If Saul can go over some of these are examples of the different types of carbon fiber cloths. and resin finishes. So I'll let him explain what his process was.
So I made some of these pieces for this event, so we can go over different what people can expect out in the work field as far as finishes go. So right here we have like a layover without a finish on it. It's just the resin. So we're going to be showing them how to bring that back to a finished product, to turn it into something like this, which is semi-finished, still has some pinholes. We're going to show them how to take care of that exactly. And then moving on over here, this is kind of midway through the refinishing process.
Yeah, what we've actually done on this one here, this started off as a dry carbon piece, such as this. This is actually Kevlar. This is something that Saul did for us just to kind of fiddle around with. But the dry finish is what we had on this particular panel. And carbon fiber isn't difficult to do. What it is we were just having a meeting about it. It's time consuming. So with that being said, when a person goes through and thinks it's going to be a quick job, that's not going to happen. You have to expect to have 2, 3, maybe even 4 clear sessions. And with this right here, you can tell we've already started to sand this. This is on clear session number 1. We filled in all of the pinholes with Tamco's product. It was a 9500 quick 30-minute clear. And we started to sand it just before you guys popped over to say hello. You see how this finish is nice and smooth? Underneath that is carbon fiber. So what we're going to do is finish this entire panel down to be nice and slick, and then the second coat of clear is going to finish this out to be a mirror finish to what all of our customers strive for but think it's difficult to do. If you use the right products and know how to do it, it's a piece of cake. Some of the clear coats that are on the industry, they'll say they have a warranty, but you still have to be afraid of passing that information on down to the customer. With Tamco products, I've been using Tamco for 6 years now exclusively in my shop. I have not used a single other clear coat since, and in 6 years I can assure you that I've had 200-300 customers that I have not had a 0 complaint or a warranty issue since switching to Tamco. The products are amazing. You just need to know how to use them, and with the line there are so many different options. You are bound to find something that's going to make your life a lot easier. So what we're actually going to do on one of these pieces here, if you look at this one here actually, you're going to see this has like a colored cloth in it. Okay, this isn't the best design for carbon fiber. It's becoming more and more popular to have some sort of color in it. It hasn't been perfected yet, so any of these color cloths, they're going to fade over time. So what we're going to try to do, we haven't tried it yet, but we're going to use Tamco candies for this. On this panel here, once we get this nice and slick, we're going to choose a couple of candies. I don't know which one we're going to use yet. We have a Grapeness and then Cabernet. So what we're going to do is use one of Tammy's candies on this and put a candy covering over this clear coat. And once that flashes, we're going to give it a final coat of 9500 clear and emulate a woven colored cloth over carbon fiber using a candy instead. What that's going to prove is we can use any color candy to transform the color of the carbon fiber and still give it the longevity and locking it in with the Tamco product. We've got Saul over here sanding down that carbon fiber piece that we showed you under their tent. And what's going on there is he's going to ensure that all of the low and high spots are flattened out from that carbon fiber weave that we built up with the Tamco product. I believe we used 9500 on this one to ensure that it was able to dry fast for the show, but it's also very, very high solids, so it's going to be able to fill in any pinholes or imperfections in that carbon fiber clear. So once we get it smooth and all the pinholes are free, then we're going to be able to go through, like we discussed earlier, smooth it down a little bit more and get it prepared for the candies. We haven't chosen the color yet, but we'll get back to you guys here shortly once we decide that's going to happen. He's almost done with it. It's sanding really, really nice, which is the glory thing about the Tamco products. It's not difficult to work with. The more you know is what's going to make you successful. And a lot of guys are afraid to do this, but if you understand the products, it's going to make it just as easy as what Saul's doing over there. It's a very small composite part that was an overlay, but it's still going to show us all the voids, all the pinholes, all of the problems that some of these body shop guys think it's scary to not want to get involved with, and they don't want that in their shop. That's just turning away money and turning away opportunity, and you're having a customer that's upset about a failing carbon fiber part to go somewhere else or throw it in the trash to buy a new one. It can be saved. It most definitely can. And what's also interesting with this, a lot of people don't know that the carbon fiber gel coat that they use doesn't have a UV protectant. So with us putting the Tamco products on it, it's going to give it a UV protectant that's going to give you the longevity that we can put a 7-10 year lifetime warranty on it. So right here we have a much cleaner surface. It's very, very flat. We do have a few voids in here that can be sanded down a little bit more. I'm thinking if we use a 220 grit, we can get these mainly flat, which would look like this area here as opposed to these little bumps and bruises, you know, sometimes we call them. And once we get this all smoothed out, it'll be ready for candy and clear coat. We just finished sanding it down, making sure we had a properly clean surface and a smooth surface to get rid of all of the fish eyes and all the pinholes that we were trying to get out in step one. We're going to be moving on to the candy concentrates and clear coat. This is going to be our final process for the day to see how far we can push this panel and how great we can make it look. We're going to use the custom candy's grapeness to give the effect on this carbon fiber piece to emulate what we have over here. If one of my guys will hand me the candy concentrate, I've already tested out my spray pattern, so we're just going to dump the candy mixture into the cup and we're going to give it a couple of coats and see how far we can get. Thank you. Perfect. Now this here, I'm shooting a full concentrate. This is going to be 5-to-1. So we've already made the reducer, the mixture from using 1370, the 895, the carrier. We mixed that 1-to-1. We're going to use a 5-to-1 mixture of the candy concentrate and see how far we can get. Already I can see this giving it a nice purple hue. So this is going to be a game changer, it looks like already. I already see a nice rich hue of purple color over the carbon fiber. This looks like it's going to work out really well. So we're going to wait a couple of minutes, come back for coat number 2, see if it's dark enough. I think 2 coats is going to be enough for us to give us the effect without being too much. Once we finish that, we'll get back together and we'll put some clear coat over this and get it finished for the day. That looks really amazing. I want to show you guys what that grapeness purple candy looks like over this carbon fiber. Just give you a quick rotation. So you can see it has a nice even color across the entire panel. Completely changed the color of this. This is going to be amazing once we put the clear on it. So what Saul's going to do is dump some HC 9500 30-minute clear in my cup. It's an extremely high solid, super water clear product, just like all of the other Tamco products. It's going to give us the ability to lock this candy in and give us a great foundation for us to cut and buff this in about an hour once it's ready to cure. All right, this is going to be our last coat. I've reduced this 9500 just a splash so we can get a nice glass surface out of this. It should spray a little bit easier. I'm going to bump up the air pressure just a tad and we're going to finish this up. There you have it. Looks good.
Hello everybody, Tom Horvath here. We're at the Tamco Takeover and we're going to be doing a demo on this carbon fiber piece on color sanding and polishing. Using surface prep sandpaper, we're going to go through the steps on what it takes to make it absolutely flawless. Come on in and explain what, you got to get close to me on the mic.
Close, so, okay.
Explain what you did.
Okay, so
and who you are.
Okay, I'm Sergio with Third Gear Customs. We did a 3-part segment on this piece yesterday. This came out of, it was started off as raw carbon. There was no clear on it whatsoever. So we've built this up quite a bit to get a slick surface. I believe this one in particular went through 3 different clear sessions. So there's about 7 coats of clear on this right now.
And what kind of clear is
we
that?
use the Tamco HC 9500 on this. It's a 30-minute clear, so we can get through the day and get some products moving for our classmates. It came out pretty slick right now. Off the gun, there's very little orange peel or any kind of defects in the surface, other than a little bit of trash nibs on top. it still needs a little bit of work to come out perfect, and that's where Tom comes in with his products to make this mirror shine.
Right,
but
cool.
there's plenty of clear on here for us to cut down quite a bit.
Cool.
It's not going to need much, but
yeah, no,
I'm sure CSI can take care of that.
Yes. Thanks, Sergio.
You bet.
So what we're using are these big kids is out here with their blocks, and they've got a whole bunch of different blocks. You need something that's hard and sharp to do this, and then we're using 1000 grit surface prep sandpaper. And you're gonna, on the first cut, you're gonna see, even though that looks perfect, you're gonna see the high and low spots from the carbon, and we wanna make that flat. So the idea here is to cut the memory out of the clear. And you gotta cut it deep enough, your first cut, and that's really, really important that you go deep on the first cut so you don't have to chase that carbon print. So we're gonna use a little bit of water. It's actually really, really nice. There's not a lot of carbon print because Sergio put, you know, a few coats of clear on here, and we've got really, really nice build. Yeah, it's really important that you're using a hard block on something like this. If you use a soft block, it's gonna look fat. And nothing worse on a custom paint job than that surface being really wavy when you get done. And that's because you didn't cut hard enough on your first cut. So you wrap the sandpaper around the block. As the sandpaper gets dull, you just rip it off. Now you've got a nice sharp edge again. It's really important. You don't care about the cost of the sandpaper. The sandpaper lasts a long time, but that is not what's important. Time is the most important thing. Just get to the sharp sandpaper, do the cutting you need to do, no more than, you know, making it flat. Check your work. It's nice and warm out here. That's going to come out really nice. Okay, you can see I missed a couple spots right there, but that's the nice thing about a hard block is it doesn't bend inside of those areas. And if this was a show car and we were totally done, this is a telltale sign. If I were to buff this right now, you'd have a little wave there. And that, you know, that just takes points off of what you're trying to do. Not using a lot of pressure. I'm letting the sandpaper and the block do all the mechanical work. Getting tight into my edges. When you're doing cars, it's not unusual to have a fat edge. So you got to make sure that that block's coming right up on the edge to get a really knife edge on the, you know, between the door and the fender. Something that you're going to hear me say a lot, and I'm going to say it a lot, just so everybody understands, is conversion. We are converting. We're now going to go to 2,000. We're going to jump 1,000 points. This sandpaper is capable of doing that. Some sandpapers aren't, but this sandpaper is. And then we're going to buff from the 2,000 grit. Now, CSI is totally capable of taking this to a finish, but that would mean I'd have to work a lot harder than if I fully convert this. So I don't know if the camera can pick that up, but you can see the straight lines that the sandpaper put in there. Now I want to convert that. All my strokes are straight. I'm not doing round. I'm cutting like a knife. Everything's back and forth so that I can tell the difference when I go to a buffer to a round buffer mark. And if I see any straight line scratches, that's not a buffer issue. That's That's a sandpaper issue, meaning I didn't convert far enough. If ever you're color sanding and you start to see color, stop.
What grit are you using there?
This is 2000. So we went from 1000 to 2000. And I'm going to buff right from 2000. You know, what we're using is, I don't know what size it is. It looks like it's more than a 1/4 inch, and it's really nice because it's not flexing. Big kid blocks, and it doesn't flex at all. Then we wrap around the surface prep sandpaper to that and pull it really tight as you can get that sandpaper. You can feel the surface tension changing. That's a really good sign that you're getting conversion. The block will actually get sticky on the surface when it's fully converted. Like right now, it's starting to really grip down because the scratches are getting smaller. And you want to, especially when you're teaching this in the class, in your shop, if you've got a bunch of guys and you're trying to get them all on board, you want them to feel that. You want them to feel what's actually happening. Because if they don't get that conversion, the buffing process is just going to take longer. Got a nice slurry happening. That's saying we're taking off some material. The 2000's not going to take off a lot of material, because we don't want to take off any more than we need to. We're here with quite a few people, and there's quite a few people using CSI, but there is one gentleman that's here who has explained to me that he is having some trouble, and he's going to come in when we start to buff and kind of explain the issue that he's having with CSI, because it's common. You know, I hear it all the time. One, we're only using one single product, so it doesn't make sense, especially when we've been brainwashed into believing that you need to use a compound, a polish, and a glaze. If you've used that system before and had trouble, and you will, because the diminishing abrasive puts an irregular scratch into a uniform scratch pattern. So now we're putting a uniform scratch pattern in. If I hit this with compound, I'm going to put a bunch of irregular scratches in. That's just a problem. CSI is not like that. So there is a little bit of a learning curve, but it's really, really easy to overcome. Normally, with CSI, it's easier for somebody who's never ever buffed a car before to totally understand what we're doing than to take a veteran and show him, because, you know, obviously he's going to say there's no way. And my dad was one of those people. I'm second generation body shop owner. And when I told my dad what I was coming out with, he's like, that is never going to work. Never, never, never going to work. But he would get on board, and his whole shop would get on board. Okay. So we've got a really nice conversion. This is a really hard clear. One of the ways to tell if you are fully converted out, because this still looks, it doesn't look shiny yet, which, you know, I want to get it as shiny as possible with the sandpaper. But one way to tell if you've converted is to use water. I just want to test my conversion. I should get a slight shine. And I'm not. It could be the hardness of the clear. Do we have something finer? Something, let's go into something a little bit finer than that. I know I can get it out with the polish, but I just want to show you a more proper way. We're going to fully convert the sandpaper scratch out. As you can see, you can't really see any shiny area where I hit that with my finger. So we went 1, 2, now we're going 25. Oh yeah, you can, yeah, and I'm feeling This is slipping on here, so there's a big, big difference between where I was and where I'm going. As I get closer to conversion, this is going to get sticky. This is a hard clear. Nice slurry. That means we're cutting. This is obviously a DA disc, so you would use this with a DA. And a DA is fine, you know, when you get up into these upper grits, because you're not trying to take you're not trying to flatten out the surface anymore. You're just trying to convert the scratch pattern. The nice things when you're using a super, super hard clear is it's going to hold a beautiful, beautiful edge on the shine. The hard part about using a hard clear is it takes a lot of elbow grease. Okay. Still. So we're now converting those scratches with this 2500 grit sandpaper. We've got a really nice slurry, not too much water. Real important that we have a slurry going. But I can definitely see why Tammy is, you know, you got to get on this 9500 really quick for doing cutting and rubbing. We'll get it out. Just got to make sure you get the conversion with the different grits of sandpaper. We had to go back to the 15 to cut out some of the deep sand scratches that were there, and it looks like they're gone now. I still see those right there, a little bit, but it's real easy to see, and this is all part of the conversion. Don't start buffing until you're fully converted. You know, obviously this takes time, and it's better to spend the time with the sandpaper than to spend the time with the buffer. Okay, so now we're going to go directly to ceramics. This is the one-step product. Make sure your pad is, you know, at least this pad, we used it all day yesterday. Run your fingers through it. Take off as much of that dry powder. Then put it on the surface. Really, really important that you get it in the pad. We're not going to move it around. Now it's inside the pad. This is going to be a little tricky. Come up on edge. Coming up real easy. And you can edge buff with this product. Don't be afraid of edge buffing. I'm lower than normal. So the question was, how much RPM? Because I'm holding the panel, I would normally buff at 1500 RPM, but the torque on this buffer is going to be greater on the outside edge. So if I need to get it done by myself, I can hold it and just buff on the edge and use a slower speed. All right, that's coming up nice. You can see how the conversion's starting to happen now. And this is a rock. I mean, this clear is super, super hard. I'm not seeing any straight line scratches. Obviously, I'm seeing some swirl marks. So Cam's helping, so this is gonna help me a lot. Turn the speed up, 1500 RPM. You can hear there's a lot more load on that. Still up on edge. It'll come out even a lot faster now. And you can feel the torque, right, Cam?
Yeah.
That's okay. It's not, this isn't compound, so it's not going to rip on the surface. It's just going to polish. So what we're using here is ceramics polish. It's not a compound. You don't need compound anymore. You saw how hard this clear was, and we took it to a shine with one single pad and one single product. Now Cam, because he's so much younger than me, I want him to be my eyes, my honest eyes, and look for straight line scratches. Because that'll say first if I did a decent job on my color sanding. And then if he does see any, we're not going to go back and sand it, but we're just going to chase them out with the polish. Cam's going to look into the sun and see what we got.
I don't see any straight line marks, see a little bit of swirl, but
Okay,
that's about it.
perfect. So that means that the process was proper. Yeah, that was a smudge from the ceramics.
Yeah.
So, and Cam, are you a user of CSI? Have you ever used it?
So, yeah, I've used it before. I'm not very good at using it, though.
Okay, no, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. We want to talk about that, actually. Is it a cutting issue that you're having?
Yeah, I'm having trouble getting all of my my scratch marks out of it.
The straight line or color sanding or these
more
swirls?
More swirls.
Oh, swirls. Yeah. Okay, good. So, swirls are okay at this point because we're using a wool pad. This surface right now is far better than if you were to use compound because we have nice clarity. The color is coming up through there. Yeah. But now, as long as we're not looking at any straight line scratches, because it would be important that we hit that. That's really, really important. And the nice part about this is it's water-based. Ceramics is water-based, so it doesn't cover anything. What you see is what you get. Sometimes if you're using a greasy product, it looks really, really good. You go to the next step, and it totally fails to the customer later.
There's no like fill with CSI.
Yeah. We're a water-based product, so it doesn't have the cover-up, and the cleanup is really, really nice. If you were to leave this on there for a month, it's going to come off just like that. Cam, have you ever had compound get in the jams and it gets really hard and it starts to lock down? That was one of the issues when we were in development of CSI, is by just adding water to this product for cleanup, it turns into a soap, so it all comes right off. It just, it's totally gone.
So say like, something happens at the shop and you got some CSI on a panel, you don't have time to wipe it off, you leave it overnight. Could you use water to reactivate that compound and use it again the next day?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
It sure can. Because you're only using one product, there's no chance of cross-contamination, so water re-energizes the product. That's a great question. So I get asked that question all the time. Are our pads important? Because they're all branded, that's part of our system. You can use anybody's pads, and you can make this all happen. The thing that's nice about CSI, and these pads are, they're price pointed to be competitive, but the thing that's nice is this will put a pattern in, and this pad will take out this pattern. This pad is for taking out all the straight line scratches, just like you saw. Okay. We removed all those straight line scratches. Then I want the conversion, the full conversion, to happen with this pad, which is 100 PPI foam. That is the finest that anybody can make foam. Ours is red, but I'm going to use a little bit of product, and if you could hold that again for me, Cam. So now we're going to convert and take out these wool pad marks. Compress the foam. Now, if this was a softer clear, I'd go over this with a little softer pattern. But we're going to look at this and see what you think, Cam. I just used 1500 RPM on that pad. Normally I would slow it down, but because this clear is so rock hard, I don't think we're gonna, are you seeing anything?
No.
Any distortion?
No.
Okay. We say use the coarsest at first, use the finest on the end. And this product will give you the jump. Right. It'll take you from a coarse grit to the jump to a super fine finish. We've got a car here that, everybody knows what happens to headlights when they get driven on the roads with salt and snow and all kinds of things. So we're going to clean it up. There are lots of different ways that you can do these headlights, from sanding them and, taking out all the details, or you can just hit it with the wool pad and ceramics, the same product that we've been using throughout the Tamco event, and straighten out this headlight. Look at the difference. Big difference.
We're here at the collision restoration class, Tamco Takeover 2020. What we've got is a bedside that was painted several candy colors, cleared several times yesterday with the great guys at Big Kid Blocks. Jeremy and Freddie came out and worked with us, showed us some techniques. So here's the end result. So what we did was we abused this product per se to see how far we could stretch it. So we've got 5 coats of clear here, 4100 Glamour Clear from Tamco. 5 coats of clear, very minimal flash in between. Intentionally ran the clear so we could come back today and shave these runs, wet sand and buff this panel. We shaved the runs with 180, I believe. We started shaving it, wiped the putty, shaved the runs with 180. We're gradually stepping up, stepping out. We're probably at 600 right now, maybe? 1,000. So we're at 1,000 grit now. We've got several hard lines that we're getting rid of. We'll work our way up to 1,500, possibly 2,000 or 3,000, and we'll be set to buff and polish this panel.
That one only goes to 1,500 RPM. It is nicer when you can spin it up a little bit more because you can put more torque into it.
When you start off from the get-go, buffing that out, I was trying to follow what you were saying on your website or her website or whatever. Is it 1,500 or higher to start off with? And then
1,500 RPM with the wool all the time.
Okay.
That's what you want to be at.
When you get to the foam.
When you get to the foam, you want to kind of stay at 15 low pressure, and then slow. Once you convert the wool pad scratch, because it's got a round pattern scratch. It doesn't have no more straight line scratches. Once you get the round pattern scratch of and you'll see the gloss level just pop up, then go over it a couple more times and then start to slow down your speed, because by getting it down slower, and I tell people, it's like, when you kind of you're touching something fragile, you don't want to put a lot of pressure on it. And that's because any pad will mar the surface if you touch it hard. So by the time we get to that light section of the red foam pad, I'm just trying to make sure I don't have any swirl marks at all.
Okay. Now what's the difference between the blue pad and the white wool pad?
No difference. That one's just been washed a couple times and they're both the same price. That one's a pre-wash pad. Oh. Everybody else sells the pre-wash as more. We just put them up at the same price. Everybody's used to the white, so it's hard to get them to use a blue. It cuts exactly the same, and it's less lint. You can see we're not getting a lot of lint all over the place. And so what you're seeing here is the guys are just playing on this quarter panel, and I think the finest they sanded it with was 1,000 grit. But it had some 180 grit, some 320 grit, some 600 grit, and a whole bunch of mixture of a bunch of different sand scratches in here. So what we're doing is we're gonna sand out all those deep scratches. It doesn't matter how deep they are, you just take your time and get them out. Even 180, you can get 180 grits as long as you have enough clear. Never, never, never do I recommend that you do anything like this. Always take it to 2,500 grit, but just in case, you can rest assured that CSI can get out any scratch that's removable. And you do it without using any compound at all. So use the wool pad, go over it as much as you can and get all those scratches out, check your work, and then hit it with the foam pad and you're all done. Crystal clear, no swirl marks, all with one product, CSI Ceramics.
Diner. Not very good answer.
Give it a minute though.
That's pretty flashing. Good. Medium reducer in the sunlight, right? You're good?
Freddie, can you get that center of that just?
Strip.
I was gonna say.
Did the gun in the gun washer.
A little bit of washing it in the bay or
Over
what?
Nice job doing that.
Bad character.
I get 20% of those.
You gonna push down that?
Keep it moving because you don't want the flake settling. Close and fast. There you go. What size flake are you shooting? 08.
And that's for the big tip gun?
2.5.
The prize gun.
Yeah, it's coming out fine. It's just, you won't see it until the light reflects it.
I can see it here.
Yeah.
Down here at the bottom.
Maybe you,
I'm in the race again.
closer. Get in closer. There you go. There's not one.
Just whatever you feel like.
We're actually 2-to-1 on the intercoat. We're thicker on the intercoat, so less settling. Closer.
Hey Pat, would you do a cross hatch on metal plate?
It don't matter. Only time you're in trouble with metal flake is if you're too thin and too wet and your flake starts sliding. We're thick and we're drying fast, that flake's not sliding.
And now we're over on 75.
I can't change pressure. All I can do is change fan pattern and volume of fluid. So I'm gonna close. Let me give him a run at it, and then I'll give you a run at it.
I was going to just try and dust maybe some of the letters on it.
I want the center of this thing to look like the center's going away.
Okay.
I want the outside dark, and I want the inside going in. So
you're real light in.
You're creating tiger stripes. You're creating tiger stripes going in and coming out. You're heavy and coming out.
Yeah, like a fade.
Soft in the middle, wet on the outside. And try not to run it.
Yeah.
That was black.
Got one running thing. That's it.
So this is actually a cool effect. I mean, you've got it striped a little bit, but it's being unfamiliar with what candy is. Candy is you're painting the same spot with probably 3 or 4 passes.
Okay.
I mean, you're moving like an inch. You're moving like an inch down every time you pass. That's too big of a gap, but he's kind of fading. He's not trying to go for coverage. He's further back off the panel, and
I'm trying to even it out.
He's more or less, he's more or less fading. He's fading what's already there. You pull back off the panel to fade it. You move in close to cover it.
Think you're going up a little bit faster.
Try and get your tip a little bit more parallel. So tilt your wrist a little bit. There you go.
That's another reason why you see striping on a car, because as they're reaching out and you're reaching, your hand tips like this, and now you've got the pattern like that, and there's a dark edge that comes right here where you need to be like that. As you reach, you do that, and you start getting those tiger striping. And for me, you do it this way and it's totally fine. I don't like to do this. I like to do this and then get this because I think a lot of times if I do this, I get heavy-handed right here, and you get a run right here, you load it up too much. I'd rather get this here and then just work that area really calmly and not have to twist my wrists and follow exactly with it, you know.
And now this, come like that?
I would, for me, if I'm walking up to here, I'm gonna go here first. I'm
just gonna go.
Okay. See, that's done, and now I just gotta go here. I don't have to worry about my hand following anything. I would say that the biggest thing that a lot of people struggle with when they're first starting is they're really rigid in it. And painting's kind of a fluid thing. You know, you got to be relaxed and just kind of, you're not, if you're tight, I guarantee you're going to run it somewhere. Just relax. And as you come out, just let your arm go out. I mean, this side, just kind of throw it. And I begin to throw right about almost where I end the last one. So if I came out right here, I want to start the throw so that I'm wetting into where I started the wetting before. So if I start going right here, I'm gonna go just past that and start back into here. So it'll blend the two together. You just want to avoid stopping and doing this stuff because you'll have dark edges, and it's actually really difficult to get rid of those dark edges. Also, if you do have those dark edges, that means you saturated it with a whole bunch of solvent. Sometimes that comes back later. So you can clear coat it, you think you got it, it's great. Later, those solvents come out and it'll turn into a dark spot right there. So you really need to work on making sure you have a soft edge coming out of it and into it.
Tape it to the inside, and then when you put it up here, you have nothing hanging down. So everything that you do here, you want to tape this off, tape the inside off, because you never know. If you've got it sitting here and you're spraying, well, guess what? It comes in here, and if he wears it and all of a sudden his hair is intergalactic, he ain't gonna be happy. So tape this right up into here.
Okay.
I mean, you could actually fold this into here. It ain't gonna hurt anything, and tape it down good.
Okay.
But you're gonna have to tape from here and wrap it this way. Don't go longly.
Okay.
Go from here to here first, then tape it the other way, because that will lock it down here. Before you tape these sides down, I would tape all of this just to be on the safe side.
So you're saying
tape the whole inside down and then tape your flaps into it.
Yeah.
So, but if you tape all that off, then you don't have to worry about any of that overspray getting on anything. That's just the easiest way. It takes all the headaches out.
What I have here now is a completely primed and base coated helmet that I'm just starting to work on the design with, because it's going to be my first time using Tamco's paint. This is an inner coat right now, and I'll be putting the 9500, the high impact resistant clear coat on the helmets here because of the amount of pucks that usually get hit. So now I've started working with the tape here, and just kind of, I really have no set design idea right now, but I'm going to be using the printer to print out my logo and my name on here, and might do a little variation of the Tamco Takeover design on the side here, and just kind of use as many colors as I can, and maybe make a Skittles bag of a helmet design. So hopefully by the end of the day I'll have a lot more paint on here, and by tomorrow hopefully I'll be clear coating it with the 9500 and be able to take some slap shots to the head. I stenciled out my business name and then put that on there, and I threw down some silver. Randomly I have another stencil I'm going to put here, so then I can layer over that with a different color, and just using a little lightning pattern I used here, made here with the tape, and I'm going to use my next color. The silver went down great through the airbrush, and once again this is my first time using this paint, so so far I love it. Hopefully later I'll be getting a little detail work and some shading and stuff, and we'll see how much better. I'm sure I'm going to like it if I just like it now, throwing down some big colors. So. This paint's nice because I can throw it on a little thin or throw it on thicker. It's coming out nice and nice and smooth. Much better than the paint that I'm used to. At this point, I'd usually be pulling the tip off and taking some of the tip dry, and there's barely anything on there. I don't even have to touch it. Everybody here said I'd love it. They weren't lying. They're, I mean, if I wanted to go in with a little detail, this paint comes out great, but I could just layer it on and it's coming out nice and thin, but I'm excited to see how I'll be able to put a different color over this and how many layers it'll take, as opposed to acrylic water-based paint where it usually takes several layers. What I'm doing right now, I decided to do a little hand drawing and then cutting on my own. So I'm doing this scale pattern, and I'm using this technique where I pull the piece off that I cut, I spray it, I wait a little bit, and then I put it back on so I don't have to re-cut anything again. And then I can start adding some shading to it, and the pieces will be there. I pulled off all the tape now. I'm gonna start putting some shading in to kind of pop out the scales and make them look like they're you know, on top of each other. I have my initial stencil, but some of them I might go in with my, you know, just a little hand, a light coat of black, just to give it a little shading. And what I'm also thinking about too is making sure they all have the same shadows, so it looks like the light's coming from the same spot. I'll go in after this with some white and make it pop a little bit more, and too give it some little sparkles and cracks. Nice part about using the stencil is that you get that hard line, and you can make it softer if you want. Make it look that the edges are a little rounder, but also really give it some shading in the back. But a couple other things that I'm practicing with, I put some stars down and then I threw some tape on them inside and then did an inside shadow, just for a little background effect, because when I put the black over the letters and pull the letters off, I have a white under there, so that should really pop and be able to see from a distance. You can see under here that did a blue shadow just to keep with this side of the helmet's color scheme. And then another technique I was trying that I'd seen before on a different helmet was this here. So you can see I did a bunch of stripes. So what I did was I masked this part off, threw a couple colors down, and then put tape over that to protect it from the next color, and then painted and just kept doing that. So I pulled all the strips off and got this. So the design I did before that will look like it's over it, especially when I do the shading. And then there's a piece of white here taped off that I'll shade and kind of give it a little diamond effect. And I'll put some white dots, spots on there to make it look like it's glowing. We tried some more silver flake, and then I have my scales here. I did change a couple of the colors and I brightened up them. I'll still have to go in with a little more shading and some white, but other than that, I'll be ready to pull my letters off soon and start putting some clear on this. See how it looks. Right now I'm just doing my last final little touch here. Just give a little more shading to a little design. I'm about done. I could probably go back in here and do a couple more work on the lines here, make them harden just so that pops a little more, but I am happy with it. So next stop, clear coat. This is the best stuff, especially from what I've been coming from. I love it. I can't wait to use it. I have a couple free samples now that I'm going to go home and use. Just beautifully cleared over.
If you've never tried any Tamco product, try 5310 primer, and you'll want to seek more Tamco products to see what else you're missing. Tamco 5310 primer is phenomenal stuff. It builds fast, it dries fast. Whenever you're removing the primer to smooth your surface, it powders up great. It doesn't clog the paper, which is awesome. I've tried a variety of clear coats from Tamco. I love them all. They're all great. They're all a little bit different for good reasons. My favorite is 9500. I want to be able to abuse it. For lack of a better term, I abuse the product. I put on a lot. It dries fast. It builds fast. And I use it for build clear. I use it for final clear. I know I have great durability, very, very awesome protection. I had never to this point done a helmet completely engulfed in fire, and I thought, why not give me an opportunity to reflect on Mike LaValle, the original inventor of the True Fire technique. His vision as an artist was spectacular. I was lucky enough to meet Mike out in Vegas 2 years ago. This has a base coat that's textured. So what I ended up doing was just going with a silver base, and I used some liquid spray mask and sprayed it to give it an uneven texture. In the sunlight, you may not be able to see the details so well, but it's got a lot of tight details that are pushed back in there underneath the fire. The fire itself is 100% Tamco. This helmet is 100% Tamco. This was actually the first time that I got to use Tamco candies, which are red, orange, and yellow on this helmet, topped off with 9500 clear, polished with CSI polish, and I'm very happy with it. I'm actually tickled pink with this. It reminds me of Mike. I'm just fortunate that I got to meet the man through all of his live teachings. Taught me a lot. Graciously made this in honor of the legend, Mike LaValle. So in order to successfully achieve these kind of results, there's a variety of Tamco products that I prefer to use. One of my favorites is the Tamco Top Dog adhesion promoter. Even though it takes a thorough sanding of a helmet to gain mechanical adhesion, Top Dog adhesion promoter guarantees that you're going to get great adhesion chemically as well. So that always gets sprayed whenever any adhesion issues may be a concern. I love the Intercoat Clear from Tamco. The 9500 clear is my clear go-to of choice. The pearl colors, the metallics, the solid base coats all cover excellently from Tamco. To be here for the inaugural takeover has meant the world to me. I'm very excited already, looking forward to next year, 2021, for the second Tamco Takeover. I highly recommend that you come. As an instructor, from my viewpoint, I learned just as much, if not more, than the students did as far as how to improve upon what we had taken under this year, how to fine-tune the process. For me, this was all new to me as far as teaching.
I masked this off a bit, but I did a bit of lacing here and faded it in. This was, I think, the Dragon lipstick, and the color is it's like really awesome. On black, it actually looks, maybe I can kill this off. On black, it looks almost like a purple sheen type thing. It's a beautiful color. My name's Eliza. I'm also from New York, Long Island, and this is my first time using a product, or in general using car industry things. I'm pretty new to this, but being here really helped my confidence, and everyone here is very experienced, very friendly, and if you're eager to learn, this is the best place to be. I've had the best experience here and will definitely be coming. I took the helmet class, and me being new to this, it's all very exciting to me, and the products are very easy for a beginner, especially someone who's never used things like this before.
I'm Jimmy Daniels. I'm from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I have an auto body shop, auto body and custom shop. Do a lot of restorations and custom work. Here in the helmet painting class, just learning some of the tricks from JR on how to lay out some striping and some different holographic effects and shadowing, and just how to do the whole process basically. Candies and metal flake, and a lot to learn here in helmets. You can kind of get the full experience on how to do a whole car or something like that just on a little helmet here. So it's a really cool deal, and a lot of other neat stuff here, pinstriping and lettering and stuff I want to try and get around to, and a little bit of airbrushing. So got to thank Tamco for putting on the event, and we'll be back next year definitely.
Hey, how you doing? My name's Chris Pitt. I'm out of Redding, California. Came out here for the Tamco Takeover, and right here I got this rat fink board that I did, all Tamco products. I've been using Tamco products for about 5 years, mainly on car restoration and so forth. It was really cool to be able to come out and use all their custom lines and do all my art skills on it. As far as rat fink goes, I met Ed in about 1991, 92 at Reno Hot August Nights, and ever since then I've been doing rat fink. He walked up to me out of the crowd and said, "Hey kid, I really like your work, and anytime you want to do rat fink, feel free to do it as long as my name's on it."
My name is Chad Kidder, owner and operator of Sinister Paint, and I'm here teaching the intermediate class. I'm a custom painter and airbrush artist, and I've been using Tamco for over 3 years now, and Tammy asked me if I'd be interested in teaching the intermediate class, and I said, okay, and now here I am. In my experience, Tamco's products, all of them, exceed any other industry products that I've used. And their products are far superior, all of them.
I'm Marvin from Artist Technicians out in New York. Came down to just learn more about airbrushing. I was never traditionally taught. Tim Lowry's an amazing artist.
Your needle is not seated into the cone. See how it's just right when I hit it, it's coming right out. So hold this out.
Having an opportunity to learn from him has been very helpful. Just before I even started spraying, just what he told us about the class and how we're going to learn, I learned stuff.
Cody Roundtree from Suffolk, Virginia. Found Tamco from some people I saw on Instagram were using it, and looked them up and ordered some, and found out they were right down the road from me in Wakefield, and been using it ever since. I love it. Yeah, I'll definitely be here next year. Had some awesome teachers, Danny Riddle, Stuart, and Michael, and taught me a lot, and can't wait to go home and keep practicing.
Hi, I'm Day Davidson, here with 30 Year Custom from Temecula, California. Right now they're teaching me a class on doing fish scales on a skateboard, which I've never even experienced any of this, but everything here is phenomenal. I'd love to come back next year. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot of things that I haven't had the chance to go learn, but next year it's going to be so much better, and everything's going great.
My name is Dave Lopez. I'm out from California, Central Valley, Fresno County area, in Orange Cove. Learned about Tamco online on Facebook and started following, started using her products, and was very pleased with the product line that she has. Decided to come out here and to Tamco Takeover, and I'll tell you this, it's been an awesome experience here. Learned so much. Everyone's great here, very friendly, a lot of knowledge in one place, and I'm glad that I'm learning here from RWD, and his filigree technique is just amazing. If you can see some of his work, so much skills just to learn here. You just can't get enough. It's like being in Disneyland here for paint.
My name's Dana Axtell from Montrose, Colorado. We're here at Tamco Takeover. Did a lowriding paint class with Jose Mendoza and Sick. Learned a lot. I've never done anything like this at all. First time. You know, I went from not even knowing how to lay something out to, you know, a complete painted product. So it's been great. I'll definitely be here next time.
I wanted to give a shout out to all of my students here that have participated. We've learned a lot. We've actually pushed some of the products further than we ever have before. We've mixed some candies, and we've kind of played around with metallics and some pearls. But all in all, it was a really, really good seminar. 2020 Takeover was amazing. We can't wait to do it again. Appreciate it.
I'm Brandon Walker from Iowa. My company's Walker's Way Custom Paint. And so far, the show's been really good. You know, learned a lot of cool little tricks and tips and things that, you know, you can see it done, but it doesn't give you the same effect as learning it firsthand. There's a lot of little details that I picked up that I can really use on a lot of motorcycles and things that I paint back home. And I'm just a one-man show, so it's good to see there's a lot of other one-man shows out here. And it's good to see, you know, different ways they incorporate things into their business and where they started and where they've grown from there. And I'm excited to get back home and take what I've learned to the next level. I definitely plan on coming next year. It was a really good show. It turned out really good for being a short amount of time for them to put it together. And so I'm looking forward to seeing next year when they've got more time to make it even better.
Not knowing what to expect, my first time ever taking any graphics class whatsoever. And Brandon and Adam showed me their techniques, tips, and tricks, and I managed to put out this board. Everyone here was absolutely fantastic, great vibes. The environment was perfect. Everybody was eager to learn. I can't wait for next year because I'll definitely be back for this.
Yeah, decided to take the Tamco Takeover 2020. Wanted to do the general graphics with Gooch and Adam. They do some incredible work, and learned a lot from them in these past 16 hours maybe. Got this board taped up and they helped me through a lot of things, taught me a lot of cool things, and yeah, it's been an awesome class. I've learned a ton, and I'll definitely be coming back next year. It's an incredible opportunity.
My name is Esteban, came out from California, San Diego. Really, I was just following these artists on Instagram, and I saw their flyers, so I just bought a ticket, and I ended up out here in Virginia. Learned a lot on the skateboard, on the lowrider graphics, from layering to drop shadows to, you know, finding your center without, you know, using trulers, just tape. Jose really got down on the lowrider graphics, kind of explained it to us more step by step for us beginners, and I really enjoyed it. I mean, if they have another one next year, I'd definitely come out here and maybe take a different class, airbrushing or something.
My name is Steven Bacher. I work for Mordini's Repair out in Colorado. I do collision repair, body work, custom stuff on the side, and I heard about the takeover here on Facebook and come here to learn it all. We got carbon fiber class over there, repair carbon fiber, how to clear it. We got airbrush classes over there, and then pinstriping, and you get all around knowledge from this takeover, and it's amazing. It's a good time. Yeah, I use Tamco in my shop for primers and clears, and so I use them daily. Getting out here, getting a little bit better grasp from professionals, understanding how the products mix and how they coincide with each other. It's been helpful, and I already feel 10 steps ahead of where I was.
Yeah, I started using Tamco in 2012 or 13, and great customer service, great people, great products, reasonably priced. That's like the main reason a lot of people get into it. You know, we've had problems with high-end companies, just a lot of money, and found out they were a little more reasonable, and then they started using the products, and they're great. They really are. The primers and clears are amazing. Some of the new candy products, that's why I'm here a lot, is to get back in and find the new candies and the new custom colors, just to see how they work. And get a chance to hang out with some of the artists that are here and get exposure to meet a lot of the people that, it's funny because we all meet each other on social media, and then we don't know each other until we get to an event like this. You know each other's Instagram name, but you don't know who they are. And then you start meeting them and hanging out, and it's good to finally meet the guys that you message back and forth with for years now.
Yeah, that's another thing. There's no inconsistency. You use like dragon green on a car, right? This guy goes, oh, I want my bike painted to match my car. So you order another gallon of dragon green, it's a perfect match. It's never, when you buy a color from her, you can continue to buy it and it will be the same every single time. The consistency from Tamco is just amazing.
So, like multiple artists here message back and forth with me, and I finally get a chance to meet them. So it's pretty neat. It's really neat.
I was introduced to Tamco Paint about 6-7 years ago. I do a lot of goalie masks, and I was having all kinds of problems with other people's clear coats. They were chipping real easy, and I was constantly fixing stuff. So a friend of mine, Jason Livery, had called. I talked to him and I asked him if he's having these problems, and he said, well, you need the adhesion promoter. And there's this company called Tamco that I use their adhesion promoter, and they got this high speed, or at the time it was only high impact, but this thing will take 80-90 mile an hour slap shots all day long. And I'm like, holy cow, I gotta get some. So I called Tamco, first time I ever talked to Tammy, and we just kind of hit it off. And she's like, all right, well, I know what you need now, so I'm gonna send you a package, you know, whatever price it was. And I was shocked because I just ordered a lot of stuff, and I could have ordered 2 things from the other company that would have cost more than a lot of stuff that I got. So I was intrigued, and I'm like, all right, let's put this to the test. So I did a bunch of goalie masks with her products, and I worked with it, and I was amazed. These goalie masks weren't getting chipped, they weren't getting scratched, they were coming. I'd talk to my customers 2 months, 3 months later and be like, hey, how's it holding up? And they're like, just like the day you painted it. And that's when I knew that I had found my home. And then they started coming out with custom colors, then they came out with candies, and it's just like every which way you turn, you think they're done, and something new comes out, and it's like, just take my money. And it's so much cheaper than everybody out there. And they're transparent. They tell you about their paints. They tell you how to use them. You call, you'll never have better customer service in the world. It's super versatile. They keep coming out with brand new stuff that's just, they're taking their whole product line to a new level that a lot of people, they just can't keep up with, a lot of the other people, the other competitors.
I got involved with Tamco through one of my friends that I talked to, and introduced me to Tammy, through DMs. Then we started, talking, and she sent me some samples of the paint and the Brush FX. Started using it, realized that it was better than what I used and most of the paint that I use over the years that I was sponsored with. And now I'm using pretty much her Brush FX and also her custom paint. So here I am today, and loving the invitation, and I thank Tammy and Tamco for allowing me to be part of it, and hope this happens again. I mean, this is an awesome event, all in one place. I hope 2021 is going to be a spectacular year for Tamco. I mean, with the takeover and all, I think they're the next step in the new generation of custom painting.